If you are a real estate agent interested in introducing video into your business in 2023, go to videocourselogin.com right now or use the link down below in the description and use checkout code XMAS until January 1st to receive 35% off your purchase. Merry Christmas. Welcome to the Tom Storey Show with Steve Karrasch and Tom Storey, where we discuss everything real estate or whatever else is on our minds. Merry Christmas. Oh, wait. These, watch this.
Do they light up?
Oh, yeah. Is that going to be too distracting?
No, that's our intro because we've been recording.
Oh, are we already recording? Well, then it's about to get better for you YouTube viewers.
Uh-oh. There he is.
How about
Krampus
that?
himself.
Am I in the mood or what?
It looks good. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Tom Storey Show. This is going to be a Tom and Steve catch-up episode, which I'm actually really excited for because although we've had some wonderful guests, I think a lot of the fun of this podcast is me and Steve bantering, talking about what's going on, topics in the industry, and maybe just wrapping up this year. And we want to thank you for being here. If you're watching on YouTube and you like what Steve is wearing right now, don't give us a like because that'll probably help the likes go up, I would say, Steve. Yeah?
Yeah, it should.
And
give me a like, man. Give me something going on here. Tom, I was looking at the numbers. We are, I want to say, over 12,000 audio downloads and like 75,000 views on this stupid podcast. So I appreciate everybody out there listening.
Well, you know what's interesting too is I had a conversation recently with someone that was just starting a podcast, and he was like, "Why did you start a brand new channel with 0 subscribers to launch a podcast? You already had your own channel with like 7,000. Why didn't you post it there?" I was like, "I probably should have," but the fact that this channel is 6 months old essentially now.
Yeah.
This is episode 31. So we've kept consistent. We have not missed a week since we launched this podcast. I think that's why the viewership and views have grown, and we've had some awesome people on. But the fact that this channel went from, Steve, do you remember when we posted the first episode? And legitimately, we're like, if this gets 100 views and 5 listens on audio, like this is a win.
That's what we were shooting for, like 65 views. I was like, this is going to be all right.
And it did like 700 views and a lot of listens on audio. And then we kept growing and growing. And this has been a lot of fun. And like, you know, for you and me, like actually funny, I had a Christmas party at my office the other night. Went to a restaurant in downtown Toronto. And when I was leaving, one of the servers came up and tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, "I watched the videos. I listened to the podcast." I'm like, nice. Perfect. Man, that's awesome. So it's cool that it's growing. What are your thoughts on it so far?
I would love it if you appreciate this at all, specifically agents, because I know a lot of agents are on the audio side listening. Maybe if you could do us a little bit of a favor and, I don't know, tell a coworker in the office that these two idiots talk about Canadian real estate and have fun with it. Try and grow that a bunch more. I've been having a ton of fun. It was interesting for me when we went to the RI event in November. And one lady in particular, I believe her name might have been Grace. Don't get me wrong if I got that, but she runs up and she's like, "I just really appreciate, having the ability to." She said something like, "Oh, we talk every Sunday," and I'm like, "I don't know who you are," and she's like, "No, I like you talk and I listen, but it really helps, right? Because a lot of single agents that are going through this stuff that don't have the team structure that you and I are used to." They don't have anyone to talk about what they're going through, right?
Shout out Grace. I hope that is her real
name.
I
really hope that's her name. If it's not, I don't know. I got to puff up this side here. No, it's this side over here.
Either way, it looks ridiculous. So for any of the audio listeners, Steve is trying to get his Santa hat in the perfect spot on his head.
I am up to my Santa weight, so now I just got to grow the beard and have a very Merry Christmas.
I've been rewatching the Santa Claus movies with Tim Allen. Because I have a child now, it's an excuse, even though he's not really watching, to put on these old movies. And I haven't canceled my Disney, contrary to popular belief. So there's a new Santa Claus TV series on Disney, which we've been enjoying.
So really? No, we are
in the festive spirit. Yeah.
Our house is Christmas Vacation, right? Chevy Chase Christmas Vacation. That is the Christmas has not started in our house until we've watched that. We watched it early this year.
Are you finally now gonna like take a little bit of time off for the holidays? Are you gonna shut it down? What is your next few weeks look like until the new year?
You know what? I am listing appointment today, listing appointment tomorrow. Buyer coming out of town, buyer coming into town this week. Like, it is ramping up for the new year. So I would love to say that I'm slowing down, but that's not going to happen.
Wait a second. So what I'm hearing here is Steve is saying that the market's back. People want to list. Buyers are coming into Surrey to buy real estate from out of town. So what's going? But honestly though, have you noticed a little bit of a change slightly, that now we feel like we understand kind of what rates are going to be, and it is what it is, and people are moving regardless of market? Have you noticed that in your business, that the phone started to ring a lot more recently?
I mean, let's be clear. Like, December was our worst, or sorry, no, not December. November was our worst month in a long time, in a long time for production number of deals. But at this time of year, it's always a slowdown and then get ready for the new year, right? Like, everything we're doing right now is for the new year. We're not going to write another deal. So are people planning to make their moves? Of course they are, right? The people that I've spoken to most recently are, we're coming. We're lots of new to Canada, lots of people coming from Toronto that, we're moving to the West Coast. Okay, let's go.
And it's all like new year buy or sell. They're not actively going out now. They're waiting until the
one is just coming to town this week, actually, to check out the areas and learn a little bit more. It's always a concern, right? Whenever somebody comes in from out of town, you're like, oh, I'm going to go live in X. And every single time it's like, no,
it's not that.
You're not going to go live there, right? That's not the way it's going to go. So it's just education, getting them out there, showing them stuff. I'm hoping that we just return back to normal, right? I'm hoping that we just get back to like families wanting to move and less of the, investor speculator stuff, which obviously we've seen over the last while. People trying to flip. I actually had a client reach out to me about a pre-sale opportunity that he had, and I was shocked at the numbers of the pre-sale. I was like, that actually looks like a pretty good deal. Like, even as a pre-sale, I'm like, oh, like those numbers really like doesn't close for another 2 or 3 years. And I'm looking at it right now going, I mean, I was expecting the number on the contract to be like $100,000 higher than what it was.
Off topic. Does my voice now sound a lot better?
Yeah. Did you turn your mic on?
The first 7 minutes of this episode was just going off the MacBook speaker, which isn't terrible. But
31 episodes in, and we still don't got it right.
This should sound a lot better. Okay, so on the
how about you? I got questions for you. Nobody wants to talk about pre-sales right now. This is gonna be the worst video ever.
I talked someone out of one this morning, actually.
Yeah, well, I still didn't necessarily say it was going to be the best move, but Tom Storey has officially sold in the worst market ever and bought in the worst market ever. Fill us in.
Yeah, so we haven't really talked about this, have we?
We have not. You've mentioned it in passing.
We talked about it earlier, how I'd sold a condo that I owned. But then what has happened since then is once that condo closed and the funds were in the bank, I started going like, okay, now I'm going to get serious about finding what this next house is. In classic me fashion, I saw 2 homes and bought one of them because I have zero patience, and that's always how I buy real estate, where I'm very calculated before I go out, and I go out and I'm just like, this is what I want. I'm gonna get it. So we did buy a house. So closing in mid to end January. Very exciting. Basically, the mindset behind it was, is it massively bigger than where I live now? No. Is it bigger? Yes. Is it massively bigger? No. But if I think of all the things that I wanted, so I wanted to have, and this is coming from a Toronto perspective, so it might sound funny to anyone listening not in Toronto, but like I have 2 car parking at the back of my new house, which in Toronto is like huge, right? Like that's huge that you have that, especially in these
like
close
a laneway style home.
Laneway parking at the back. Yeah.
Lane, yeah. So it's on a lane. It's got a front door, but
Yes.
the main entry you're going to use every day is from the back.
Will be through the back door. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was really important to me. And then if we go from different levels of the house, so we start in the basement. There is a big living area that we can set up, like, the family TV and couch and all that kind of fun stuff. And there is a separate entrance. So in the future, if I wanted to put in a little kitchen down there and rent it out, we could do that, right? So it gives me an option to do that, because you can come in through the back door, and there's a going up and going down. And then beside the room in the basement, there's another room, which they were currently using as like a fourth little bedroom. What do you think I'm going to use it for?
Hopefully a bedroom for me when I come over.
What were you thinking? No, it's going to be a video room. That's going to be my new studio.
Okay,
so
cool.
That was important to me, because I needed a place to film the videos, right? Like I need to have a sit-down place. I could have everything in one spot, right?
Yeah.
Then the main floor is a big open concept, renovated kitchen, everything nice. Upstairs has 3 bedrooms, but my child's bedroom is actually like 2 bedrooms in one, so it's 2 small rooms, so we can have like a little play area. And a little walkout deck from the primary bedroom, which I'll probably never use, but it's cool to know that I have it.
Isn't that funny? People are like, I can come out here in the morning and drink coffee. I'm like, you will never do that ever in your entire life.
Well, I'll tell you, like, the emotional side of it too. So I knew the agent on the other side fairly well. And when we walked up to see the house, they literally had like a child swing on the front of the house. And I was like, oh no, like, this is like a sign, right? And yeah, so we bought that house. So we're moving at the end of January. What's maybe more interesting to the viewer or the listener of this podcast is I sold my townhouse. Now, this is the townhouse. If you've been watching this podcast, you've seen me and Steve do stuff, live in. You've seen what my living area looks like. My current video setup is in the basement of that townhouse. Now, it's a freehold townhouse in downtown Toronto. I listed this property. I'm not going to give exact numbers here. Like, you guys can figure it out if you really want to. But I listed this property at a price that was lower than its actual value, like the evil real estate agent that we all are, apparently.
Yeah.
And it worked. Steve, I got 5 offers in a market that people are saying is... I was listening to the news the other day, and some economist, I don't know, I think it was an RBC guy, was just basically like, it's totally frozen, nothing's happening. And that's not the truth. Like,
is that just what they're saying from looking at the numbers and not being...
That's the problem. They don't see anything but the... And now I understand the numbers are made up based on people's decision making. But like, I got 5 offers on my house. I'm really happy with the number that we sold for. So I don't know. I think the truth is right somewhere between both sides of the story. And
we're seeing it here though too. Still, for instance, we had a guy accept an offer on a townhouse, and then in the same complex, a 3-bedroom. This is a 2-bed. 3-bed comes up for the same price, right? And it's like, oh, you realize like that it's not going to sell there. And my guy's like, oh, I really want to. We want to submit an offer on it. We want to walk away from the other one and go into that one. And it's like, trust me, this is not in our budget. It's not going to go there. There's still some people doing that, and it's still effective because that property sold immediately. It had multiple offers, and it got the price that the other 3-bedroom that was listed higher couldn't get.
How much lower was it listed, like when they took that strategy?
50 at least.
Okay. And it sold for more than the other one that was probably overpriced is sitting at still? Or
it sold right around there. Right. So it sold for exactly what it should have sold for. I don't think it overshot, but they listed it as like the 2-bedroom pricing, when 3 bedrooms always go for more. Right. So then you get the hopes up of 3 or 4 buyers. They all submit offers, and then there's one guy that's like, okay, I know what it's really worth, and they end up getting it. But it just makes the whole process still easier for the seller.
So if I'm a buyer hearing this, my example, this example here, I'm still saying, well, that's bullshit. You priced your property at a price. I made you an offer at your price, and you didn't take it.
Yeah, it's exactly what we did. We actually went over asking, non-competing, and they wouldn't look at it.
So it's almost like, I'm going to take a page out of Steve's book. It's almost like the seller was allowed to choose how they wanted to sell their property.
Hey, I do not disagree with the thought that they should have the available marketing strategy that they choose, right? It is their property and you should not be able to force it upon, but we are doing that now in BC.
It's coming. It's coming, right?
I don't know if you saw the worst performing video ever on my channel the other day, but I went over the new contract and it is ridiculous. The rescission period is ridiculous. NDP, BC provincial government, you are, let me go on the record here, absolute idiots. And I think the people at the BC FSA and the BC REA did a really good job of putting it together. And it's funny because I've been on some calls, pointed questions to people in those associations, and their answers tell me that they also think it's ridiculous. They just can't say it, right? Because it's their jobs. They're employed. They're not allowed those like myself.
When we asked Brendan if he was on mute when he was giving them recommendations, and he's just like, no comment.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is what it is, right? They brought that in, and everything else they brought in. Like, for instance, here now in BC, they've just removed all the strata rental restrictions. Nobody asked for that.
Is that not a good thing, though, for supply? Like, are we not excited about that as people saying we've got to find ways to bring more supply to the market?
If that is your goal is to, I mean, I don't think there's that many that are there anyway. But if your goal is to only bring more rental inventory to the market, is it a good thing? Probably.
Okay.
Right. But now let's view it the other way. I personally, and I have 2 of the 4 stratas I've owned have been rental restricted, and they were the 2 that I chose to live in because they were nicer complexes as a result.
It's almost like the Airbnb restricted buildings. I mean, now there's just, you can't really do it in Toronto, but before that, people would want the buildings that was mostly owners, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course you want the one it's a way nicer place to live. And so now they've removed the ability for also age restriction, right? So now let's say I did want to live in adult only.
It's kind of crazy age restriction was a thing, though. Is that not just like clearly discriminating against people?
Here, yes, 100% it is. And to be consistent in my own argument, I have to think, okay, I shouldn't ever have anyone tell me what I can or can't do with my property, so you shouldn't be able to tell me if I can have a kid here or not. The other side of that argument is you also shouldn't be able to tell me and all the other owners if we get together and say, hey, we want to be in an adult-only complex, should we have that right? And those people did vote those in. And here's the downside of it, though. Those created affordable housing units for owners. So if you're 45 plus, for instance, that's a very small buyer pool. So and you also cannot receive CMHC financing on it because CMHC does not support.
Is that what it was? It was 45 plus. That was the threshold.
19 plus, 30 plus, 35 plus, 40 plus, 45 plus. Yeah, they could be all. The only legal one is 55 plus.
That's like the retirement home style. Yeah. Not to say you have to retire if you're 55 and older.
No. But that's
when
the funny
you get the
thing.
discounts at Shoppers Drug Mart. So,
yeah, but there is so. Anyway, it's a mess. Now here's the kicker. So it kept prices down because you had a smaller buyer pool, right? So it made more affordable housing. So now you're going to open those up to investors. So you're going to make the most affordable units now open up to investors, which of course they're going to buy.
Right.
And then if, for instance, you lived in a 45 plus complex, you were all empty nesters, right? You're probably 2-bed, 1-bath empty nesters. Well, now you're going to open up to investors and families of which you opted into a cheaper form of living, of which would give you the lifestyle you wanted. Now that's just been taken away.
Before it was taken away, like if your kid comes to visit, are they allowed to stay over for a night? Like what's
Absolutely.
Okay. It was just,
of course,
primary occupants had to be 45 or whatever it was.
It was also how they worded the bylaw. So the bylaw was sometimes it was one owner must be over this age. Sometimes it was all occupants must be over this age. So it's very, very strange. And I'll give you a little bit of a loophole. So here's what's going on right now. A bunch of these stratas are going, okay, well, we were already 19 plus. Let's just go to 55 plus because most of our owners are in there anyway, 55 plus. So we're just going to vote it in, and then we'll still be able to keep that because 55 plus is still there.
Okay, but none of the others are.
No.
It's interesting because in Ontario, like our version of this kind of is like when people are renting properties, there is, if you put in no pets allowed, technically it's a void clause. You're allowed, it's your right to have a pet in Ontario if you're renting a unit. However, then condo specifics, if the boards have voted on no pets, they can then have a bylaw for that property that like supersedes the overall rule.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what's happening here if they went to 55?
So if they went to 55, you could so who votes the most? Seniors, right? So the government went, okay, well, we better not screw over all the seniors because then we'll lose the votes for sure. So they ended up saying, okay, 55 plus age restrictions can stay. Now, here's what people heard. 55 plus age restrictions with rental restrictions can stay, but that's not what they said. So here's the thing. Everybody's going to convert to 55 plus, which will then downgrade their value.
Right.
But then the owner that is 55 plus, this is not for sure, get a legal opinion. The owner that is 55 plus could then rent it out. And the Tenancy Act, which supersedes the Strata Act, does not allow for age discrimination. So you could have 55 plus owners and family tenants.
There's always loophole. Like every time a new thing comes out, it's like, well, here's all the other ways that it's actually going to
unintended consequences, right? Unintended consequences.
Is half of what this is.
Because nobody listens to people like Brendan, who are a lot smarter than these two idiots talking right now, right? Like that guy says here, these are the consequences that could come down. For instance, the cooling off period. He says 2.5% in their models.
2.5 higher price increases on top of whatever was going to happen.
He thinks they're going to, when they ran the numbers, you're going to average 1 to 2 extra offers in any multiple offer situation, which will obviously drive prices up.
So basically what they've done, if the models are correct, as we've learned, the models are always correct.
Always correct.
Right? Yeah. What we've learned is that the cooling off period will actually just add on normal inflation on top of everything else that's going to happen from supply and demand.
Yep. 100% it will. And here's the best part. Now I'll get back to the cooling off period. They released those forms. We are now going to have to fill out the terms of the cooling off period for every single offer, even subject offers, and even subject offers that are longer than the cooling off period. So it's ridiculous. It's a big waste of time, and it's an election-ish type topic and waste of time.
Do you guys have like a version of your forms that's like in plain writing? Like we have like our normal like listing agreement or agreement of purchase and sale. And then we have another version that you could show clients that's like, here's what this actually means. And like below it in red. Like we actually have that. Do you have that?
Yeah. I don't think so.
And that would be helpful. If I was buying or selling in BC, I'd be like, can someone actually explain to me what this means? Because
here's the problem with it though. It's like, I'm going to sit here and explain it to you. And this one cooling off period, you're going to glaze over, and it's going to take me 45 minutes to correctly explain it to you, and you also don't care. So now what? Like I don't know. I think the overwhelming amount of people that probably listen to stuff like this are interested in it.
Yeah.
But the overwhelming majority of the public is just like, can I buy the house yet or no? What price do I have to pay or what? Like that's where it comes down to. And it's just kind of silly that we are forcing this. Now, if there was some sort of way to make the client appreciate or understand, maybe the client has to take a test. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes or no? Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like, they just don't care. Can I have the house yet or no?
Right.
So I don't know. It's frustrating. It's going to change. It's going to clear out a bunch of people. I think the older generation is basically, a bunch of them have said, hey, I'm not learning another new thing.
Well, they're just going to click through and DocuSign. And
I think there's going to be a lot of bad, like when Keith was on, it's going to be so sloppy for the first 2 months. Nobody's going to have any idea what to do. And I was in the webinar for explaining it from the BCFSA, the regulator, and I asked very pointed questions, and we did not get very pointed answers.
Yeah. Okay, now let's say you understand this cooling off period and the new rent restrictions, and you're a buyer in BC or Ontario or anything, right? I think a lot of the questions right now, I had a call with a potential buyer just before we came on here today, and they knew, they're like, okay, so just to be clear, the prices have come down, but also there's still not a lot to choose from. Is that what's happened? And I'm like, basically.
Yeah, that's it.
That's basically what's happened. So there was an article that came out yesterday. I don't know why the RBC economists seem to be the most negative recently for whatever reason. But they said that basically this was the headline, and it wasn't just for Toronto. Like, I saw Toronto because it was my news source, but it was BC and Ontario. And basically saying it is a buyer's market, and RBC thinks, though, based on new listings versus sales, okay? And for anyone that watches our channels, you know that me and Steve talk about months of inventory until we'll put you to sleep, because it is still the best way to understand fundamentally what is happening in a market. Yeah. And at the end of a month, you would take active listings, and not just new listings. You can't forget about the active ones, the rollover ones. They still exist. And you divide it by how many sales happens, and it gives you a number, right? So the reason I'm bringing this up is because even though fundamentally, and I'll go over, so I have the numbers in front of me for Toronto, kind of interesting because they're saying we're in a buyer's market. And I'm like, have you looked at the actual numbers? I don't think we are. It might feel like it, but we're not in one.
But I think there's something else that's happened, which is we have to look at those numbers too in a more stable market, right? Mm-hmm. So we haven't creeped into a buyer's market until like this last month, like across most areas, not even all yet. So we're like 6-7 months supply in a lot of spots. But with the interest rates increasing so fast, that's the first time that price has come down while you're still technically in a balanced market.
Right.
So that's something that's not really, like, when we're really thinking about months of inventory, we probably have to consider the fact that they should be calculated within the same interest rate, right? Or a margin of, right? So if I'm
a benchmark months of inventory,
like some sort of, it would just, or a benchmark interest rate. Like if everything was the same, it would be a totally different equation. Like if the interest rates were the same previous. So you can still be in a very good market with prices coming down. A very good market meaning I can sell, and I can sell relatively quickly. Like nobody's going into, when you talk to these guys from Eastern Canada that were into like 14 months supply for like 5 years,
we haven't seen
like that's not the way it is here at all.
So I ran these numbers because I was curious. And by the time this episode is out, my video on this will be out as well. Because I was like, come on, if you're going to write this as the headline, back it up with something, right? So I ran the numbers for November for Toronto. Now, I didn't do like a 3-month rolling average. I did the most up-to-date month, right? The entire GTA has 2.62 months of inventory right now.
What?
Yeah.
That's way lower than ours.
We had 11, I'm like guessing here in the exact number, but it was like something along the lines of like 11,600 active listings and 4,500 sales, right? You do that math, it's 2.6. Then I said, okay, GTA is one thing that includes more than just the city of Toronto. It's the surrounding areas as well. What about just the city of Toronto? Just the city of Toronto, 2.75 months of inventory. Still under 3, meaning that 1 out of almost every 3 properties is still selling in the first 30 days, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I went into asset class specific, and this is where it got like really interesting to me. Detached in the city of Toronto, meaning like proper 416 area code, 2.29. Semi-detached or duplex in BC terminology, 1.5. Townhouses, 1.6. Condos were the highest at 3.2 across the board, and then downtown condos were at 3.6, so into a balanced out market. We would need to double to become a buyer's market. But
Yeah.
it feels like a buyer's market. Like, I don't disagree that it feels like it from where we came from, but it's
Yeah.
not.
I mean, it is not by those metrics, right? It's obviously a buyer's market in the effect that, hey, it's a heck of a lot better than what it was,
Yes.
and it's not nearly as hard
Mhm.
to get a property as it was. So is it a buyer? I feel like, yeah, we are. We are definitely in a buyer's market where you can negotiate on most properties.
Not based on the fundamentals of the market, but based on
but then
how
you
it
have a
feels.
jerk like Tom Storey that lists his property aggressively and going, okay, because I mean, when you did that, I'm sure you weren't just like, hey, I'm just not going to sell if I don't get my price. Like there was strategy there, and
Of
you knew
course.
what you could accept and what you couldn't accept. So I don't know. I feel like the majority of people can still get a pretty good deal out there right now. Unless you're in the comments of a video like this and you're expecting another 90%, then I don't know, keep waiting, I guess. But there are deals out there, and I'm even starting to hear rumblings from certain people who are in the know that are like, this is the year I'm looking for. Okay, when does the condo make sense? You know, when does, those things? Because here's another thing that's happening. The haves, the people that are doing well, they're like, oh, it's time to deleverage. Yeah, they're smart. They're deleveraging, a lot of them. Right? Like a lot of people that have cash are like, wait a minute, 7% interest rates. I'm just going to pay down that mortgage that I don't need right now. Right. So, I mean, I'm in that boat. I'm aggressively paying off my mortgage as fast as I possibly can, because at this point I have no need for a larger house like the stories do. Right. Like I don't need that.
You know, what we didn't even talk about, and I'm happy to share it here, is so I bought a new house. What type of mortgage did I take?
Let me guess. Variable, because variable always wins.
Not this time, Stephen. Not this
All
time.
right. Steve wins. Steve wins.
Kind of.
2 or 3 year.
I took a 1-year fixed.
Oh, 2.
Yep.
Come on. Where's the 2 year?
No. I didn't like the change in the rate. So, I ran a few different scenarios. Well, I didn't ran them. I wrote them down and figured out what it could be.
Don't say
Right?
I ran right now. We're gonna get demonetized or something.
Yeah. So I wrote them down and I tried to figure out, okay, like worst case, if rates are at here, my gut is telling me, based on all the people that I have spoken to, and Brendan was a really good interview that made me feel even better about it, is like at some point here, the fixed rate will come down. So I'm willing to take that 1-year risk instead of a 2-year risk. You're shaking your head there. That's fine. It's just 1 year, and then I'll figure it out after. Now, do I wish that I did this earlier? Yeah, obviously, but then I would have had to buy the house at a much higher price in a much different market. So,
yeah, I have mine comes up in June, so I'm looking at it, and I'm probably going to line up. I'm looking at a 3-year, not based on rates. Well, rates will probably be the best as well, hopefully, but I'm looking to line up my refinances on the different properties at the same time to see what makes sense for moving debt off into, because I mean the best way to pull money out of an investment property is a refinance, because then it's tax free for the time being, right? So then the question is, how do we move it around? So I'm only looking at it for a restructure point of view in 3 years.
Right.
So
I mean,
and
I'm
the
looking
5-year
at it on
money
a.
is not enticing to me right now either.
I would not be taking a 5-year fixed. I don't know. Power
Hey,
to you if you did. I'm not at these rates.
Last year's economist for Scotiabank was wrong by double, so we're going to be in a double buyer's market this time next year if RBC is right.
Well, they're always right. They are always right. What else is going on, Steve? I got a few notes here that we can talk about. A video that both of us put out that actually overall consensus was like very positive, was how wrong we were about our predictions last year.
I would say I was 100% right if interest rates stayed where they were.
Yeah, sure. Fine.
Minus that one big caveat. I wasn't, it was, we probably just didn't imagine, and I think this is probably could happen again this year. We can't imagine how fast the next thing is going to happen, right? Yeah. So if we think, okay, we're going to, people are thinking, recovery maybe late next year. I don't think that is going to be accurate. It's either going to happen way faster than that or way slower than that, right? For us to actually guess when the recovery is going to be.
So
I don't. For instance, here's what I was thinking about you, Tom. Sorry, I got excited about that for a sec. You remember 2017 in your market?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was like,
"It's over.
It's over. It's never coming back. The bubble is burst and blah blah blah." And pre-Pandy in late 2019, stuff is going nuts again. So, could that happen again? Absolutely.
So you think what we don't see coming next year is the market's going to come back faster than we think?
No, I think we're going to be in a rough ride for a bit. Personally, I think we're going to be in a rough ride for a bit. I actually hope it doesn't return to those prices for 5 to 7 years.
So I'm not even talking about prices. I'm talking about like activity. Like, do you think the interest level will be there? I think it's pretty clear that the prices aren't going to do the same thing. But do you think transaction-wise or just
number of transactions? No, I don't think it'll be there because it was insane. But
not to 2021, but to 2020. Do you think 2023 is going to have more or less or the same transactions as 2022?
I could see it being very similar to 2022.
Yeah, I think it'll be slightly higher in my market. Yeah,
it could, because another thing Brendan was saying is they view the immigration coming to Vancouver or BC being an extra province-wide like 15,000 transactions a year. Like, that is insane. That's like our whole board almost, right? Because all those people are coming.
One sale, yeah.
Lots of people purchasing.
Well, right? The Toronto numbers, obviously we're not fully wrapped up the year yet, but we're going to end, hold on, I'm just going to bring this up to give you the exact numbers, but I can tell you last year's numbers. So in 2021, we did 125,000 transactions on the Toronto Real Estate Board.
I think a big year for us is like 30,000.
Well, I mean, we have more agents, more population, right?
Yeah, man. One of every 2 people in Toronto is a real estate agent.
Basically.
The official stat.
So we did 125,000 last year, and the last 4 or 5 months in a row, we've been averaging about 5,000 or less sales per month, right? Like, it's been pretty quiet. Where typically we average 8 to 10,000, right? So if I look at the numbers right now, at the end of November, we were at 72,000 sales for the year. So and December is historically quiet anyways, right? Yeah. Let's say we do 5,000, but we probably won't. We'll probably do like 4,000, right? That will put us 75 to 77,000 transactions this year.
Yeah.
We had 125,000 last year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Look at that. I don't know the math in my head, the decrease on that. That's a big decrease.
Yeah, man. Well, I don't know the numbers, so I'm going to spitball them here. I think when I looked at like the October numbers, it was something like 21,000 last year compared to like 14 this year. So yeah, you're down
30. We're both down roughly 30, a third, basically.
Yeah, you're down. So could I see us, if we end up like this year, I don't know, let's call it 18,000 transactions. Geez, that seems so low to me. No, I must be wrong on my numbers. I don't want to quote things here because the
let's just talk percentage wise then. Like, do you think percentage wise your market this year was down about 30 to 35%?
If I could do the same amount of transactions myself next year as this year, I'd be fairly happy with that. I don't think that will happen though. I think we are going to, maybe this is just me being overly optimistic, but I think we're going to increase because I think the market share is coming back to the more knowledgeable, heavier hitters, as they say. I think the market share is coming back to those people because there's also a bunch of, as Taylor calls them, tourists. There's a bunch of tourists that are exiting, right? Like I've heard, I was talking to somebody the other day and they were talking about how many licenses are being relinquished at that particular brokerage. And it was like, it's every 2 to 3 business days. There's like somebody else like, nah, I'm not keeping it anymore. Too expensive to keep. So those transactions will start coming back to people that are in it full time.
Yep. Our board just made it this year where you have to pay the whole year up front. and I believe including the insurance, it's like, I don't know, $1,300 or something. So I paid that the other day. Where it used to do like half the year, then half the year, they used to split it up.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that, and you have to pay this.
It'll keep people in.
You think it'll keep people in? I
It'll
was
keep
going to say
people
they'd
in.
be like, oh no, never mind. I don't want to fork this up at the end of the year.
Maybe. Maybe it'll be equal. But like for us, we're every 2 years. So I just paid my licensing cycle and I'm incorporated. So I have to pay an extra license for that. And I think I was $3,200. Okay. So if you pay that over,
right?
Let's say it's half of that. Let's say it's $1,700 or something for a single agent. If you pay that, you only have to pay it once every 2 years. So then you sit, and then it's only like if you're down with one of those companies that doesn't charge you a monthly fee, now you're just paying your board fee, $112 a month, and you keep your license. So that's why our licenses don't fall off as quickly as some other areas.
Where else do you think we're going this year? You think it's just silence till the new year? And then, because I can tell you, we have several properties
this year
up.
with like what, 10 days left?
Come on, man. Figure it out.
I think I'm probably going to put on too many pounds and drink too much. That's what I think the rest of the year has in store for me.
Are you going to do dry January?
Oh, I would assume probably not. But
I thought you were going to say yes.
Dude, I got to do something. I don't know. These pounds are, I'm looking like a really good growth stock right now. Like it is, I got to do something with it. Over 40 is a real thing, Tom. I know, like I was just like you. I was like, no, man, it's no big deal. Just trust me. Over 40 is a thing. It's coming for you, man.
You know, it's funny. Like I'm so systemized and regimented in my business life. My personal life, I'm much more relaxed because I feel like it's my time where I don't have to be so like, structured. But I personally know with the working out side of things, like I need someone to coach me. I need a coach. I don't have. I know I don't have it, or I would have done it by now to get in really, really good shape. If I had it in myself, I need someone to yell at me.
I need to pay someone to smack the fork out of my hand. That's what I got to do. I'm all or my wife harps on me, right? Because I'm all or nothing. Mm-hmm. I can lose and have done 4 times in my life, 50 pounds in 3 months. Right.
Well, why don't you do a challenge with someone? You like to win. You're competitive.
I like to win. No, I don't like to win. I do win. And if I found someone that will take on the challenge for me, write down below in the comments. If somebody wants to challenge me and you legitimately want to put money on it, I will crush you. But I need the motivation to do it. We need a Tom Storey Show weight loss challenge for 2023. Let's do it.
I think I'm going to do dry. I think I'm going to do dry January. You know what? I've done it. I didn't do it the last 2 years because of the state of life, I guess. But I used to do the 4 years before that. I would do it every January. I'd have such a great start to the year, like wake up feeling amazing. My business was always off to a roaring start every year because I was just like mentally there,
100%. Best year I ever had was the most in shape I ever was. Coincidence? I don't think so.
No, probably not.
Right. So I think if I could get there again. If you don't like me, challenge me and bet me, and let's put some money on it, and I will crush you all.
Hey, listener, if you're listening or watching specifically the YouTube side of things, comment below if you think you could beat Steve in a weight loss competition. Because I would side with anybody but Steve. So,
Tom's money versus my money, is that? No, I like you too much, Tom. I'm not gonna bet you. I want to bet somebody that really I want to destroy. That way, I'll do it for sure.
I want to talk about here in the last 15, 20 minutes we got here is one thing that we have been preaching to our coworkers and people in our community. Is YouTube, right? It's like we both know how we built our business. It was repeat, it was referral, it was word of mouth, it was treating people well, it was doing what you say you were going to do and having a structured plan.
It wasn't TikTok, Tom? It wasn't TikTok?
TikTok dancing is in there somewhere, but it's closer to the bottom of the list.
Let me lean out of the screen and point up.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Sorry.
That's pretty good. I wanted to actually read you a quote. So the episode that we had Jared on, he told us about a book, but I think it was like we had just stopped recording and he brought it up to us.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So for anyone that's looking at YouTube as something that you're going to do that you're passionate about, or you think it could be good for your business model. So this is the forward from this book. And this, who wrote this was Mr. Beast. I don't think I really have to tell anyone who that is. Got 120 million subscribers on YouTube. So if you're just getting started on YouTube, do not expect to pull any type of viewership in your first year. If this isn't something you can accept, don't start. But if you can, then you'll need to do this. Make 100 videos. It doesn't matter what they are because they will be terrible. But do something that you like. The first 10 will be garbage. Make 10 more. These will also be garbage. And so will your next 10. But eventually,
I think Mr. Beast has seen my channel.
Yeah, but eventually things will start to improve. You'll get better little by little. The best way to improve your content is to make content and see what people like. Then you'll notice something on your 101st video. It will be in a whole different league from your first video. You'll still be a long way from good content, but it will get better every single video. So when I read this, I thought about it and I went back, and both of us have posted well over 300 videos on YouTube. And everyone that we have typically on this podcast or anyone we look up to is well over 300 videos as well. No one's posted like 7 videos and we're like, that person. So I wanted to read that as a reminder to everybody that's thinking about it or thinking of it as something in your business. It's like you're going to suck for a bit and it's not immediate results and it takes a lot of time and effort, but that's where I think there's the opportunity because it takes a lot of time and effort, no one's willing to do it consistently.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same with everything though. Like, what do you think though, Tom? Like, so we tout it, but really our business is built on repeat and referral, right?
Yep.
The getting into coaching with Richard Robbins and then, doing the lifetime referral system of, just basically treating people right and having them come back and being a good resource. But there's also then the next level of like, you can run a really good, business off of that, but you do need new business as well, right?
If you want growth every year, you need new business.
Yeah, you do need to meet new people. And this is the first thing that I mean, first of all, I like doing it. So that's one thing. If you don't like doing it, if you like door knock. But it's something that I like, and it's like, holy crap, I'm actually seeing legitimate returns. And I don't think we stick with a lot of stuff in this business because it's really hard to see those legitimate returns from doing one particular thing, right? If you're sending out newsletters and having client events, I mean, sure, you're gonna attract people back. They're gonna like you. They're gonna use you again. But you can't be like, oh, that one kids bowling party at Christmas that I did got me, this many transactions of the year, because it doesn't work that way.
Nope.
But this is something where it's like, oh, okay. As I add, like the amount of appointments I'm getting booked right now where people are like, I'm contacting you because of the information you put out.
Same. And it's such fun conversations as well with
people. It's a ton easier. I find it a ton easier because the people are just like, they're people that are looking for education, right? They're people that want to know about it, not that phone call of like, well, who's going to give me the best deal? Who's whatever the guy is on the sign down the road. I'm going to phone in 3 guys and interview everybody and do all that stuff. Like, it's usually not that. It's like, oh, okay, you've consistently put out good information for what I've been 2.5 years now on my channel. And it's like, okay, we know that you know what you're talking about. Let's just go. Makes it a ton easier.
I had run the numbers. I think this will be kind of interesting. And this is me getting out of telling you how much money we've made from YouTube this year. But you can do the math after if you want, okay? So I think, I've posted this year, it's got to be at like 65 videos now this year. I didn't post as much as you did, but I did okay. We got just under 500,000 views this year on YouTube. I don't know what that means per video, but it was 3 to 10,000. Some of them took off, right? and it turned into 84 people reaching out to me, booking an appointment with me.
Yeah.
Some people just had a question. Some people wanted me to sell their house. Some people wanted to buy with us. All good. So far in 2022 only, we've helped 26 of those people buy or sell properties that have
Unreal.
firm sales.
So let's talk about this from a douchey real estate agent point of view. First of
Okay.
all, appointments to conversions, if we're going to look
Sure.
at it that way, that's over 25%. Is that right?
Which is
That's way over
unheard
20. That's
of
30%. Yeah.
for something that comes from someone that didn't already know you.
Crazy,
Mhm.
right? I would suggest that sometimes even referral isn't that high. Like friends like, oh, okay, interview my guy too while you're interviewing the guy off the bus bench. Like sometimes you don't even get that high of a conversion off of those things. So that's insane. So sorry, this is like 80-ish. That's very similar numbers to my booked appointments, like 80-ish
Makes sense
booked calls.
because we're getting similar views and subscribers. So it makes sense what the math is pretty similar, right?
Yeah.
And
how many hang on. How many transactions? I don't know if Tom Storey is comfortable saying this, but let's find out. How many transactions on your team this year, and how many transactions from video and YouTube specifically?
Oh, YouTube was about 25% of our team this year. So yeah, about 20. We'll do roughly 100. So about 25%.
Crazy.
And then, what's cool is that doesn't even count all of our past clients that watched the videos and reached out as well, and we helped them. This only counts the people just I got to meet for the first time.
Yeah, I have some past clients that watch this religiously, which is strange to me. But we're about, I want to say we're even higher than that percentage-wise, but lower transactions because Tom Storey always has to do better than me, not just in weight, but in age and in looks and everything else. I think we're going to be, if I do the numbers correctly, I think we're going to be at 71 firm transactions this year. 20 of those are people that we met on YouTube.
So cool.
It is unreal that 20 people are going to reach out and you're going to get that transaction together for them. And that lead source of meeting those people is open to anybody in this industry.
It's free.
They just have to work at it.
And even on top of that, like we're actively working with 5 to 7 people that reached out through the same medium that they just haven't bought yet, which is fine. Like, they'll buy when they're ready.
So we were doing our projections for January, and I can already see that there's a good chance that my January will be 75% YouTube, meeting people from YouTube. And if that, like, I don't expect that to keep up for the year. I mean, I hope it doesn't, because I also want that repeat and referral business coming back. Yeah. But it's just like, how can you, like, it's silly. Now, I don't know if it's just like, Tom, do we work hard at it and then just the consistency, like you're saying, from the Mr. Beast stuff, or is there something special?
I think it's well, there's certainly nothing special about us. Let's be clear on that. What I do think it is that when I make a video, when you make a video, we talk honestly about what we think, and we don't wear suits and ties and pretend to be this version of ourselves we're not. We talk about what we see and how we feel, and you're maybe more polarizing than I am. I'm maybe a little bit vanilla slightly for some people, right? That's fine, but that truly is who I am. I don't, in our private conversations, I'm not like wildly one way or the other on politics or anything. I'm pretty relaxed. So, but I think,
and I scale it back for my videos.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing, right? And I think where a lot of other people that are doing this are coming to it from a place of, I'm going to post this video and it's going to get me a result. And it's like, well, you're not actually helping it. You're not solving anybody else's problems. And you're talking like a boring professional. Talk like yourself and be yourself, and you'll attract the people, right?
Maybe they're boring professionals. I guess you would attract boring professionals, though.
Fair. And I'm sure that both me and you have, what's the opposite of attracted? A lot of people haven't reached out to us because they decided they didn't like us, and that's fine too. Like, that's all good. You're not going to please everybody. So I think that's honestly where my opinion is. I think it's worked for us because, first of all, we've been consistent. We've continued to do it. I think both you and me actually enjoy it. I think we enjoy. I was
Oh,
putting
yeah.
these I was putting these videos out long before I made any money from them. That's the truth. I liked it, right?
Yeah.
I always like secretly wanted to be an actor, and this is my little version of getting this miniature following that feels kind of cool. So
Well, I just think it's like the issue I have with it is just, for instance, we put out the doom and gloom stuff, it gets all the clicks, and then you put out the good information, and it's like, oh, okay, well, the doom and gloom stuff was like 5,400 views, and the crappy, document one was like 750 views,
Right.
and then here's what changed my mind. It was actually when, let's call her Grace. I hope your name is Grace. Ran up to me in the conference and was like, I listened to, all your stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, that's one person. Now, sure, it didn't get 5,400 views, but 783 people watched me. And so 783 people cared enough to find out what's going on with the buyer right of rescission. And it's like, man, could you imagine getting 700 and whatever people in a room to hear you talk about a form?
If you walked outside your door right now and all those people were standing there, it would be
I'd be like, get out of my house.
get off my lawn. But yeah, it's crazy. Well, it's funny, right? Like I was telling you, I put out a video recently going over the new vacant home tax in Toronto. And I'm like, this is the most important information I have talked about all year on my channel. If you do not fill this out, you will be charged. It's going to cost you money. Here's exactly how you do it. And it was one of my worst performing videos ever.
Yeah. Yeah, because people just don't care. But then one of your worst performing, but still, what's the number on it? Is it 1,000 views?
It's at like 1,600.
Yeah. So, well, you get too many views, man. But now think about that. 1,600 people. That's insane. You're like, you beat yourself up. Oh, I didn't get as many views on that one. And then you're like, wait a minute. 1,600 people cared enough.
Well, it's because the
last here with a frog in my throat or something.
It's because the last one I posted. So like that one, I spent a lot of time doing research, putting it together, editing it the right way. And the one before that, it was like the rates had changed again. And I just sat down and spoke for 10 minutes. It became like an 8-minute video. I cut out the ums and the ahs and the mistakes. Yeah. That one does like 7,000 views. Yeah. Where it's like the effort put in does not correlate to the views coming when you post it. 0.
100%. Well, I found that out the tough way, right? When I had the one crazy viral video that I do have, of which I still beat Tom Storey at. That was just something I was like, I need to get a video out today, because that was back when I was on like a 3-a-week schedule. And I just saw a stupid news article. I just commented on it. And then it's like 220,000 views. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So that one helped me. That one propped me up and kept me in the race of subscriber to 10,000 race that we're going to have for this year. When do you think you're going to hit 10,000 subscribers, Tom?
Before you.
What a dick.
No, I'm just kidding. We're pretty close.
It really makes me angry
close.
that you told me about, like, hey, here's some YouTube information, and then I kicked your ass on it, and then now you're kicking my ass again.
You were way ahead of me for a long time. I just caught up slowly. Just slowly caught up. I think both of us. So it was interesting, right? I got that email from YouTube saying like year in review, and of my, 7,000, whatever it is on subscribers now, 4,600 came this year. So if you do the math on that, and we do the same, like by April, both of us should be at 10,000.
Yeah, I think I'm 5,600 this year or something.
Yeah. So there you go, right? Because I had a bit of a head start before you got started as well.
I'm gonna catch those Nolan Mathiases in no time.
Well, I think this is actually a good thing to pitch upcoming episodes and guests we have coming on, because oh man, we got some heavy hitters coming into the new year.
Do we want a spoiler alert, or do we not want a spoiler alert? That is the tough question. I think we should spoiler alert.
I think we spoil
for people that are this deep in the episode.
Yeah, for people that are this deep. So the next episode after this, and this is assuming no one last minute cancels or gets sick.
Jinx it.
Or I'm not going to jinx it too much. Nolan's going to be on again. Man, his channel has been taking off recently. He's been doing such a good job, and we're proud of it too. Working very hard at it. After Nolan is this small upstart YouTuber from Vancouver who I call Steve #1. All jokes aside, Steve Soretsky's going to join us on the show. So Steve number 2 can talk to him. That's going to be a lot of fun. I've gotten to know Steve the last probably half this year. Really great guy, really cool what he's been doing, and what he's built is frankly phenomenal. So I'm excited to see what he comes on and says, because macroeconomic side of things, he knows more than me and Steve number 2 do. And then as we head into next year, I'll just give you the next 3 on the docket. Kaylee Heaps is joining us. Kaylee runs the #1 team in Royal LePage, Canada. Absolute machine, good friend of mine. Really respect her on a business level and personal level. She's just an awesome human being. We've got Chris Kelleher coming on. He runs one of, if not the biggest team in Collingwood, Ontario. Does some serious business, does some serious numbers, and he's getting more into the social side of things recently. And then Nazma Ali is coming on, who is always a fun interview. So we've got some exciting stuff for you guys coming up. And this has been fun. Steve, we've been doing this for half a year. We didn't give up. The viewership has grown. It's been fun. We're going to keep doing this and get better at it. And because we're if the same thing holds true to the YouTube videos, this is episode 31 for us. We haven't even gotten to 100. We're going to keep going and make this better and grow this. I want this thing to be huge.
Yeah. And it is a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it myself. Speaking with everybody has been enlightening for sure. There's also another side of it though too, Tom, where you're saying as always, visibility beats ability, right?
Mm-hmm.
I spent a ton of time as an agent being what I would consider very able and not very visible.
Mm.
And it is one of my things. I think just being able to be getting out there in a different way other than bus benches, which I don't have, is something that really excites me.
Right? Well, we have now grown the community of the video course to over 300 people. Yeah. And the most popular option recently has been the bundle, where it's you get the YouTube course, you get the original video course. And is Tom Show is still the 10% off for that, Steve?
I don't know. How about we put in a Christmas sale?
One? Okay.
How about from the time this is done, the code will expire January 1. How about we call it Xmas? XMAS?
XMAS, all capitals?
Sure.
Okay. I'll set that up after this. So that will give you the video bundle, and we'll decide. That'll be a pretty good percentage off, I'm guessing.
Yeah. What percentage do we need?
I mean, I was going to say 25, but it's Christmas, so.
30.
35.
35%. Merry Christmas, but only until it will expire on January 1st.
That's it for this one. Thank you for listening to me and Steve banter for an hour. I personally really enjoy these episodes. I think it's fun to catch up in between the guests. And by the way, we don't not have guests, and that's why we do these episodes. We schedule these episodes to catch up, because I feel for the viewer as well, it's when we bring the guest on, the guest speaks the whole time, and that's the whole point. But sometimes there's things I want to say, but it doesn't make sense as a question to somebody else, right?
I also hope this episode doesn't totally bomb, because it's not going to come out on a regular day, but we'll put a post up or something about that.
What day is this coming out?
It's coming out on Friday, Christmas morning. No one is going to listen to us, Tom. Well, if anyone were to listen to us on actual Sunday, Christmas morning, they have to review their.
Well, let me just say, fine, we won't put it out that day, but
Friday.
But the last episode that we put out came out an hour before the World Cup finals came out, and everyone in the world was watching that, and that still performed pretty well.
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't think as many people watch the World Cup as you think. I think it's just you,
just the whole world.
The rest of the maple.
It's not hockey, Steve.
Hey, man, we were not. This is not an Argentinian real estate channel. I think everybody
I'm happy.
here.
I've always been a Ronaldo guy, to be honest, but I'm happy Messi won. And
this all means very little to me.
Yes, this is gibberish to Steve. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening to another episode of the show. Steve, final thoughts?
Well, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Tell a friend. Please help us grow this next year. And we look forward to bringing you even bigger and better people. Well, not bigger people, because I'm hopefully the biggest person on the podcast.
We're going to bring you smaller people. Steve's going to get
smaller, smarter people. Tell a friend. We
All
appreciate
right.
it.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye. Come on, Tom, do the bye.